got a chance to see Don't Move, produced by Sam Raimi. Let's talk about it right now. Let's talk about it right now. Let's talk about it right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for spending time with me as we rant about movies, comic books, and television shows, as well as the occasional board game. I am your host, Frank Zanca. I'm an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer, as well as a filmmaker. I had some really good meetings today, actually throughout the week. Something's got to give now because there's too many irons in the fire. I'm kind of excited. All right, so let's jump into what I got going on the comic side. We have Lords of LA. It's my vampire mob set in 1950s Hollywood. We have Marilyn Monroe in here, and this is the first issue. The second issue, we just ordered some of this cover, and I'm going to have the other covers ordered as well. But you can see the artwork in it is pretty good. And I'm excited to get this out to everybody. All of my backers got the digital copies already. Now I'm going to be getting them the hard copy. If you would like a signed copy, let me know in the comments, and I will get one out to you. Plus, we're in our last few days of Myth Lords Classic Monsters card game with art by Mark Spears, who does a lot of cover art from Marvel and DC, amongst others. But with Halloween literally right around the corner, this is the perfect gift for someone where you can play as your favorite classic monster. And this is upside down. So good stuff here, and it is on Kickstarter right now. We're down to our last few days. We are fully funded. We did get a little boost today with it jumping down to the last end of the countdown. And yes, it comes with figures like Dracula and Frankenstein. So yeah, it comes with 4 figures, and we're about to hopefully unlock the 5th one as well, which we'll show at the end of this. All right, go to mythlords.net or simply click the link in the description below. That will take you to Kickstarter. Again, we're fully funded, so let's start unlocking some stretch goals if you can help me get over the hump. All right, we have going on 13,000 right now, so we need a couple of thousand to unlock the 5th player. All right, so let's jump into Don't Move. So I did not know that Sam Raimi produced this until I started doing my research on it to do this video. And I was really excited because as a filmmaker, Netflix used to take low-budget stuff. Now they'll only take things that have A-list actors in it, which is why you've seen this kind of a shift. So, and on top of that, they're not really producing, things as much as they used to. Like, you won't see the $100 million movies that they're producing anymore with A-list talent. So they've kind of, shied away from that. They're doing a couple of, TV shows like, series. But for the most part, the amount they're producing is getting less and less as far as their internal. So, of course, they're taking, movies from other producers and, of course, distributing it possibly exclusively on the channel. And when I saw this, that there was 2 unknown main actors in this, not completely unknown, but for the most part they weren't A-list actors, I was excited that maybe they were loosening their grip on what their qualifications are to be shown on Netflix. And unfortunately, that wasn't the case because, of course, Sam Raimi's attached. They're going to take a Sam Raimi film. Even though he's not in it, not directing, there's no A-list actors in it. So I'm kind of hoping that they're loosening the reins a little bit and they're going to start, putting some more independent films on there, especially when the theaters are doing independent films. So we'll see. But as far as this film is concerned, it was definitely written for low budget. So there is a pair of directors that did this, not just one. They are apparently like a team. They've teamed up probably over a period of a decade and are producing and in some cases directing, in some cases producing. I think they did some producing on this as well. Brian Netto and Adam Schindler. And they've done just a few things together, 5 things, not much. So for them to be producing and directing, I don't know, how they were able to do that or where they ended up meeting Sam Raimi to do this. But yeah, and again, the writers have written one of the movies that these guys produced and directed. So I don't know. Good for them, though, that they were able to get this in front of Sam Raimi to be able to get the money to be able to produce this. If I was going to guess about what this movie cost, if it cost, again, probably the above the line that Raimi's probably taking is probably the majority of this film. But if I was going to guess, I would say more like 6-7 million on a high side, because it has all of 6 actors in the whole movie. There isn't much of anything. It's mostly the 2 people, the male and female main stars, that have all of the scenes. Everybody else is purely in and out. Like we have the guy that lives in the cabin. His name is Bill. He has a small part. And then we have the cop, and they have a small part. And then we see some extras where the mom is taking their kid out of the gas station, stuff like that. But it's all just in and out day player type of thing. So it's really just the main 2 characters. So in this case, it's kind of like Strange Darling in that sense. So going back to my title for this video, is it a jumbled mess? And I took that from some of the reports and reviews that are on Rotten Tomatoes. And where they called it, jumbled mess, or it just was mediocrity or whatever. And I don't agree, because I know what it takes to make a low-budget film and to write something that can be interesting, even if it's very, very contained. So, and that's what I call this film. I call it very contained, because it basically takes place in the woods. It takes place, on a side street. It takes place at a gas station, and then a cabin, and then a lake. Which is probably connected to the woods. They probably didn't have to go very far to hit that. So it's like a handful of locations, which is how you write low budget, and with a minimal cast. This way you can move fast. You're not worried about a whole lot of stuff going on with a whole bunch of extras and, a whole, 10 or 12 cast members and etc. So the male character is Flynn Wittrock. I'm sure I've seen him before, but I never knew his name. So he did American Horror Story. He did 31 episodes of that. He did a thing which he also produced called Half a Life or something to that effect. He did Judy. So again, I've seen stuff that he was in, but I don't think I really paid much attention to. He's on The Big Short. He was in Noah. So Torchwood, he was in All My Children. So he did 119 episodes of All My Children, where he played Damon. So he comes from that kind of a background where they know how to move fast. So he was probably off book, and I thought he did a really, really good job. So this story is about a woman named Iris who has lost her child. We don't know what happened to the husband, but he lost a child. It was not a baby, but he was 5 years old or whatever, and she's grieving and she doesn't want to live anymore. So she goes hiking up to the highest point that she could hike so that she can commit suicide. And that's the basis of the story. And she ends up running into this guy who just happens to be there, which I really think we needed a little bit more context about why this guy just happens to be sitting there. And he talks her out of committing suicide, and she follows him. But unfortunately, when she follows him back to her car, because he parks right next to her car, but he parks too close where she basically can't even get in. And that's the point where he drugs her, and now we have a whole cat and mouse situation, which is the name of the title, Don't Move, and that's because she is paralyzed. And for the majority of this film, She's literally paralyzed. She can only, her eyes can move, and that's about the extent of it. So, she ends up being very smart and tenacious and using the things around her to allow her to keep the movie going. So, and the end is okay. I wish there was more to the end, because I wish that there was. I thought there was some other movie where this kind of happened, where the husband and the wife were estranged because of a child dying or whatever else, and they decide to make up. Oh, it was in Monster House. It was in Monster House. I thought that would have been played very well here for the ending, but we don't get that. It's a completely different ending than that, where maybe she decides to give another shot. Now, this actress is very, very good. Her name is Kelsey Asbier or something to that effect. It's definitely Kelsey. Asbriel. I think that's what it is, Asbriel. So she was from a children's show, I don't know if it was Nickelodeon or Disney, called The Two Kings. She was also in one of my favorite movies, which is Wind River, where she played the Indian girl that is murdered. Well, not really murdered, but dies from, being pretty much naked in the extreme cold. But she's also been in 47 episodes of Yellowstone, so that's probably she's more well-known. So basically, these two people, she was in 13 episodes of Teen Wolf. Anyway, she's very good, and she's been in the business forever. So these are B-list actors at best. And anyway, she's very beautiful, and she has a nose ring in here, and I don't understand why. Because the other pictures I've seen of her on, BTS stuff, behind the scenes stuff, or, stuff that she's done separately, she doesn't have that. And I'm kind of wondering if that's something that the directors put in. But anyway, it's just odd for a mother of a child to have a nose ring. I don't know, it's just too edgy for like a mom, I think. It kind of puts it off a little bit, where it's like, are you really a mom? Because moms tend to be more clean cut when they have children, because they want to be a good example, etc. Plus, when you have a baby or a child like that, they tend to pull on things. And if the chances are pulling your nose ring out, that kind of thing. So I think it was weird. I think that was a weird choice to give her a nose ring. But anyway, she looks really different from the other movies I've seen her in, because of the chopped hair, which was an odd choice for her. But overall, I thought that both actors really played off each other very well. And no, I don't think this was a jumbled mess. I think that it needed certain things to keep the momentum going, considering you're writing two characters for the most part that are in conflict. And on top of that, you're trying to keep hurdles in the way of the killer. Because if the killer just has the ability of killing the person, then the movie's over very quickly. And how do you root for the victim if everything is not stacked against the killer for the most part? And things have to be stacked against one another in kind of equal ways to keep the cat and mouse going. So I thought they did a pretty decent job with it. I think $6 or $7 million is a pretty good budget depending on how much they took off the top for Sam Raimi. But I think that the amount of production budget they had probably was very constrained. I have no idea where they shot this. I was trying to figure out. Believe me, I did some research to try to find the budget. It's just published nowhere. But yeah, I liked it for what it was. I think that's the best thing to do. I liked it for what it was, a self-contained, low-budget film that allowed two actors to play with their roles. Again, I wish there was a little bit more to the two characters, but we got to see a couple of different sides to them. But of course, her arc goes from suicide to wanting to live and fighting for her life. And I think that's a really good arc, which is almost kind of like the Saw movies, where they're basically taught a lesson about life is precious and things shouldn't be taken for granted. And it's kind of got that same message. But again, we never really see her at the end propel her life in a different direction. And I wish we would have seen something like that, what her goals were before the family situation imploded. But yeah, so I would suggest watching it. It definitely keeps your attention, which is really what a movie's for. It's not really thought-provoking because it's basically a cat and mouse type of movie. But I thought the visuals are very good, and the acting will have you enthralled with what's going on, and the characters are somewhat likable. Even the villain is somewhat likable to a certain extent about what he's willing to do. And again, you don't really know why. I would like to have seen a little bit more motivation about why. But that's it for me. But definitely check it out. Support independent film. Always support independent film, because that's what's going to get us the additional content that's not just made by the studios. And that gives us more than just sequels all the friggin' time. All right? Thank you guys so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Remember to give me a like, give me a thumbs up if you can. Post me a comment if you've watched this already. Did you hate it? Because on Rotten Tomatoes, it's 41% from the audience and 71% from the reviewers. So the reviewers liked it. The viewers of the regular audience hated it. I don't know. But anyway, if you can subscribe, please do. Ring that bell, ding, ding, and get notified about when I post additional movie reviews, comic reviews, etc. Plus, remember, in our last few days of Mythlords Classic Monsters card game, where you play as your favorite classic monster, whether it's Dracula, Frankenstein, the Creature from the Deep, or the Wolfman. It's also got the Bride and Mr. Hyde, and yes, it rhymes. And we have the Mummy, the Headless Horseman, a bunch of others. And we have different locations, and the artwork is phenomenal. And like I said, we're also going to be unlocking a fifth player, which is the Wicked Witch. So we're going to have the whole Witch clan. And we also have a Dark Oz expansion, but there's the Witch figure. It came out really, really well. All right. So check out some other videos on your way out. And again, thank you guys so much for watching. And I'll see you guys on the next episode. Have a great week.